Hi, my name is Amy. I'm with GSHC Surrogacy and Egg Donation. A lot of our intended parents come to us because they have questions about escrow services. We wanted to provide you with a video interviewing one of the largest escrow companies, SeedTrust. I hope this helps answer a lot of your questions. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Oberly. I am the Partner Success Director here at SeedTrust Escrow, and today we're going to be covering escrow management. What is the purpose of an escrow account? The purpose of an escrow account is to have an account that is a centralized location for intended parents' funds to be deposited into so that any type of expenses in relation to the surrogacy journey can be submitted and processed through this account. These are going to be anything such as lost wages, any type of travel fees for the embryo transfer, any type of medications the surrogate might need, as well as any of those, scheduled payments that might be going out each month. When is escrow typically open in a surrogacy process? So based on our recommendation here at SeedTrust, we would recommend opening escrow as soon as you're matched. So as soon as the intended parents and surrogate have matched, we recommend opening that escrow account. The reason being for this is to ensure a centralized location for funds to be deposited into the account for any of those pre-contract expenses to be able to be processed through escrow. Any types of surrogates costs can go through escrow. They can go directly to the surrogate for reimbursement, as well as maybe any type of fees that are associated with your agency. We can process those directly to your agency as well. Once the account is open with SeedTrust, what are the next steps that typically occur? So for intended parents, those next steps will be you'll receive a welcome email from SeedTrust. This will be an automated email asking you to access your client portal. You're going to be required to come up with a password, and then you're also going to receive a welcome email from your escrow team. This is just a little bit more personalized touch to where the escrow team is introducing themselves, making it known to you who your point of contacts are. And then they're also going to provide those next steps instructions on how to fund your escrow account. This information is going to be based off of your agency and their initial funding requirement. And then you'll also be provided with a set of funding instructions. How long must escrow remain open after delivery? So this is such a common question that I get asked from many intended parents. And what we traditionally see is anywhere from 6 to 12 months. However, since post-COVID, we would recommend having escrow remain open until 12 months after the delivery. The reason for this is we're seeing a lot of delivery bills that come in 8 to 9 months later after the delivery. If escrow is closed earlier than this, then it's really hard for those payments to be processed through the account, and then everyone's kind of having to reach out to each other to get these payments made. So our recommendation is to keep the escrow account open for 12 months post-delivery. Who's my point of contact with SeedTrust once my account has been established? So your point of contact is going to be your escrow specialist. This is going to be a group of individuals who will guide you through the escrow process for your surrogacy journey. These are going to be your go-to for any type of questions you maybe have regarding payments, specifically any type of funding questions. This will be your team to answer any questions you may be having regarding escrow. How does intended parents access receipts and proof of payments? Different employers are offering fertility benefits. We have seen a lot of intended parents who maybe would need a copy of their ledger or any type of documentation to receive reimbursement for these expenses for their surrogacy journey. So with SeedTrust, it's really easy how to navigate our portal. Intended parents have access to download a ledger at any time. Your ledger is going to always be updated in real time, so any type of payments that go out are going to be on this ledger. If they need this ledger on a letterhead or maybe some type of letter from our escrow company stating the amount that's been deposited to the amount that's been process for reimbursements, we are always happy to provide this. Intended parents also have access to view any documentation that's associated with any payments on their escrow. This can be also found in the portal under the Documents tab. This just really allows for intended parents to keep track of those reimbursements or to kind of go back and see what payments have been processed. How are funds managed in escrow? With SeedTrust, we have several different options for you to fund your account. You can fund it via ACH, wire transfer, credit card, e-check. So a lot of different options for you to be able to fund escrow. What are the minimum balance requirements for escrow? So your minimum balance is going to be based off the terms of your gestational surrogacy agreement. Once we receive that agreement at SeedTrust, the escrow team is going to review the agreement and look for any type of minimum balance requirement. Traditionally, we see about anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 as a minimum balance. Whatever the contract states, our team will input this within your portal. If your account gets near this amount or maybe dips under this amount, you, the intended parents, will receive automated notifications every 72 hours alerting you to replenish the escrow account. You're also going to receive a notification if maybe that last scheduled payment that's scheduled right before the next scheduled payment that's supposed to go out. If that's going to dip your account below the minimum, you're also going to receive a notification alerting you that, hey, this next scheduled payment is going to bring you below that minimum and that you also need to replenish those funds. What are funding milestones in relation to the escrow account? So your funding milestones are going to typically be dependent on your agency's recommendation on when the account needs to be funded. Traditionally, what we recommend at SeedTrust is you'll have your initial funding requirement. So this will be the funds that are sent once the escrow account's open. And then usually another milestone will be around legal clearance once that contract's been completely executed. And then our recommendation is for the escrow account to be fully funded at the embryo transfer. The reason for this is in the event of your surrogate becoming pregnant, you want to ensure that all those funds are in escrow for the remainder of the pregnancy and to cover any of those type of pregnancy payments and maybe miscellaneous items that might come with the pregnancy. How are my funds being managed accurately? So we get asked this question quite often. Intended parents want to make sure that their funds are being held in a secure account, that there's checks and balances in place, and that these payments to your surrogate are being processed accordingly. So with SeedTrust, we have a $50 million bond in place. What this is going to do is to ensure that any type of maybe cybersecurity on the accounts, any type of misappropriations, errors and omissions, if any of these things were to occur with your escrow account, the bond is going to ensure coverage of your funds. Also have a approval process in place for checks and balances. There's not one individual within our corporation who can submit a payment and approve and disperse a payment. Each payment actually has to be vetted through 4 different departments before that payment actually leaves the escrow account. This ensures, accuracy of the payments and to make sure there's checks and balances in place to prevent any type of misappropriation of those funds. Payments. So this is going to be based off of the contract. So all funds held within the escrow account are going to be dispersed per the terms of that gestational surrogacy agreement. So how this works is either a payment is submitted as a disbursement request or is a scheduled payment on the escrow account. So disbursement requests are typically embryo transfer fees, travel fees, anything that would require documentation. Once these payments have been submitted through escrow, your escrow team is going to review them and they're going to compare them to the terms of the gestational surrogacy agreement. What the escrow team is looking for is to ensure that the amounts match what's been agreed upon in the agreement, that all documentation that's needed to process these payments have been received. And then once all this information has been received and everything looks good to go based off the terms of that contract, then the payment's going to be dispersed to the surrogate. Once that payment has been dispersed, intended parents will receive a notification from our online system alerting them that, X amount of dollars has been withdrawn from the escrow account. Regarding the scheduled payments, these are going to be more so those monthly allowance payments if your contract allows for this, any type of base compensations once your surrogate becomes pregnant. These are going to be the payments that will go out automatically each month. Again, you will also receive notification anytime these funds are dispersed from the escrow account. Intended parents also have access to view their escrow at any time. They can log into our online platform and review ledger that's been updated in real time, showing any of the amounts that maybe have been deducted, the date they were deducted, or any pending payments that maybe escrow is still waiting on before we can process. The reasons we would be waiting on these payments would be, regarding maybe additional clarification or maybe some additional documentation that might be needed. What about payments that fall outside the contract? Specifically, maybe a gift that you want to give to your surrogate, maybe a pregnancy pillow or a gift basket. How are these payments typically processed through escrow? With SeedTrust, anytime a payment's being requested on the escrow account that maybe isn't included in your contract with your surrogate, we're always going to reach out to the intended parents for their approval to process that payment. As long as all parties are in agreement to process a payment, we can process that through the escrow account. I hope you found this video really helpful. I've enjoyed speaking about all things escrow. If you do ever have any questions regarding SeedTrust or the escrow processes, you can reach out to me directly. My email is caitlin@seedtrustescrow.com. And I hope you really found this video helpful, and best of luck to you in your surrogacy journey.